In a world where popularity is measured in numbers, by how many millions of dollars are made, and how grand a shirt worth tens of thousands of dollars looks on a star, there is a story that is rarely amplified by the mainstream media. A story that isn't about Billboard records, nor about stadiums selling out in seconds, but about how a 20-year-old young man changed the future of hundreds of school children in a quiet corner of Busan, without a single camera around to film it. The year was 2016. That time, the name BTS was just beginning to whisper across the world. They had not yet conquered America. They had not yet held a Grammy trophy. They were just beginning to catch their breath. After years of struggling in a cramped practice room, and when his first big paycheck arrived, what did most 20-year-olds do? Jimin did not buy a sports car. Jimin did not buy a luxury home in Gangnam. He took all that money and quietly paid for the entire graduation expenses of the students at his former elementary school. Today, we are not just talking about Park Jimin, the global superstar. Today, we are talking about a family's legacy of generosity that made history in South Korea. Imagine yourself in Jimin's shoes back in 2016. The first money earned from years of grueling work was finally in your hands. Money forged from blood, sweat, and tears. In the legendary Big Hit Entertainment practice room. For many, a first paycheck is a symbol of personal financial freedom. But for Park Jimin, that paycheck was a responsibility. Between 2016 and 2018, without any grand publicity, Jimin covered all graduation expenses for the students of Busan Hodong Elementary School, the very school where he studied as a child. Until the school eventually closed its doors in 2018. He didn't just pay for middle school uniforms for the graduates. He also gave a personally autographed BTS album to every single child. Why? 'Cause Jimin knew exactly what it felt like to hold big dreams amidst limitations. He knew what it felt like to be a boy from Busan, who had to fight extra hard to prove those dreams were real. He had no idea that one day he would become one of the most famous artists on earth. He didn't do it for branding, nor for publicity, but because deep inside his heart were the values of kindness that had been instilled in him since he first learned to walk. And that act in 2016 was merely the first ripple that would later become a massive wave of goodwill across all of South Korea. If you look at how celebrities usually handle charity work, most contribute during disasters or donate to broad national organizations. But what Jimin did was unique and systematically planned. Look at this map of South Korea. Jimin consistently chose a different province every single year to support its education sector. In 2019, the Busan Metropolitan Office of Education received 100 million won for low-income students. In 2020, Jeollanam-do Province, a region that wasn't even his birthplace, received 100 million won in scholarship funds for children in remote areas. In 2021, Gangwon Province received 100 million won for library development and children's learning facilities. In 2022, Chungcheongbuk-do Province received a similar contribution. He targeted books, school facilities, and replaced broken desks and chairs for thousands of students. Jimin didn't simply give money. He was building a foundation for the next generation of his country. Many critics out there love to focus on casual wear, or the luxury items worn by K-pop stars. A $16,000 shirt, luxury watches, limited edition sneakers. But for those who truly know who Park Jimin is, those expensive clothes are just his work uniform as a global fashion icon. Beneath that $16,000 shirt lies the emblem of humanity from a man who chooses to give away a vast portion of his wealth every year, not through auctioning personal items for publicity, but out of the pure intent of his own heart. Have you ever heard the saying, "The apple doesn't fall far from the tree"? This story of generosity becomes even more extraordinary when we look at who stands behind Jimin. Jimin's father, Mr. Park Hyun-soo, and his younger brother, Park Ji-hyun. In South Korea, there is a highly prestigious charitable institution called ChildFund Korea. Within it sits an exclusive group, known as the Green Noble Club. To become a member of this club, an individual must donate a personal minimum of 100 million won. Usually, members of this club are tycoons, major business executives, or senior public figures. However, the Park family made history, unprecedented in South Korea. In 2021, Park Jimin officially joined the Green Noble Club, following his massive donation for children in need. In 2022, Jimin's father, inspired by his son's dedication and driven by his own life principles, joined as well, donating 100 million won. And earlier this year, after completing his military service, his younger brother, Park Ji-hyun, followed in the footsteps of his father and brother. They became the first three-member family in South Korean history, where every member is individually registered as a major donor in the Green Noble Club. Jimin is not only the first idol to mark his name among the country's top donors. Together with his father and brother, he has built a dynasty of kindness. This is no longer about a single wealthy individual. This is about a family that turned compassion into a legacy passed down through generations. Kindness of this scale doesn't emerge out of nowhere. It is rooted deep in how Jimin was raised. Since childhood, Jimin's parents were always his pillar of strength. When Jimin decided to pursue a risky path in life, becoming a contemporary dancer and an idol, his mother was the very first person to believe in her son's extraordinary talent. His mother saw something others couldn't, an endless sincerity and determination. Meanwhile, his father always taught him one vital lesson: that whatever we own in this world, a portion of it belongs to others who are in need. Jimin's father is known among fans as an extraordinarily warm person. He never positions himself as the parent of a global superstar. He simply remains a father who continues his community work in Busan, giving out scholarships, helping senior citizens, and supporting underprivileged children. When a child watches his father give without expecting anything in return, that child doesn't need to be taught how to give. He simply follows his father's lead. And that is exactly what Jimin and Ji-hyun did. In the harsh world of entertainment, where hate comments, rumors, and sharp criticism can hit at any second, there is one fascinating thing about Jimin and his family. They possess a fortress of protection that no amount of hate can ever penetrate. Have you ever wondered why all the hate comments, gossip, or attempts to tear Jimin down never truly affect him? The answer is simple: because they simply do not care about the hate. When the focus of your life is the happiness you share with your family, when your days are filled with thoughts of how to help school children who can't afford books, when your gratitude runs so deep, the hatred behind a computer screen is nothing more than a passing breeze. A person whose life is filled with goodwill and the blessings flowing from the prayers of orphans and students he has helped, possesses an incredible peace of mind. Jimin is shielded by his own kindness. His smile on stage is not just a mask of professionalism. It is a reflection of a peaceful and happy soul. Trophies can gather dust. Album sales records will one day be surpassed by new generations. Expensive clothing worth tens of thousands of dollars will fade with changing trends. However, the smile of a school child wearing a new uniform on the first day of class, the dream of a student in need attending college because of a scholarship from a young man from Busan, and the legacy of kindness from a family that inspires an entire nation. Those are the things that will endure forever in history. Park Jimin is not just an incredible performer. He is living proof that the true peak of success is not about how much you can take from the world, but how much you are willing to give back. He was born an artist, grew into a superstar, and chose to live his life as a human being who spreads light. Thank you for watching this story. The story of Park Jimin and his family inspired you today. Share this video with those who need a reminder that kindness still exists in this world. Till next time, stay inspired.